Welcome to the Two Boots Word Vault podcast. Recently, I found the recording of this presentation, which I gave to the Unity Christ community of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, on Mother's Day, May 8th, 2008. This presentation focused on a love for the divine feminine. The original recording was overloaded and unhearable. Thanks to Greg Schuette of Minneapolis, he found a way to retrieve this audio. Despite its flawed audio, I wanted to share this with you. On an earlier Two Boots Word Vault podcast, May 13th, 2024, I read the actual paper which gave birth to this performance.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. Last night we just had a great time performing with Yata, Dalyce, Elliott, and Grace Black. And this morning, what we'd like to do is we'd like to interweave some music with my talk so that the feeling of the poetry and the sentiment of love for the divine feminine, so that we can feel it, so it's not just up here in our heads, it's in our bodies. So love of all sorts begins with the face that we see, whatever face that is. It might be for our children, it might be for our mothers, it might be for our husbands or wives, our grandparents, for God the Father, for Mother Earth, whatever. That feeling of love begins with an image. And so I've asked Yata and Dalyce we'll do two pieces about love. It's a little more accessible love, more in this world. We'll start with that, and then I'll get into my little presentation. So Yata, Peinovich, and Dalyce Elliott will join me for this. This first piece is Sweetness and Contentment. Yata and I performed this last night. It's from our newest CD. Outside the window, peony buds are about to burst into red bowls of fragrance. I hear wrens whistling in the soft rain. From the bathroom, I hear water spill as my love showers in a dark bath. My heart fills with sweetness and contentment. I'm quiet, near peace with the gray rain, the dark trees, our iridescent life. Forgive me tonight, ugly chrysanthemums of smoke spew from my bug-eyed, flare-nosed gargoyle in my heart. Forgive me. Forgive me, forgive me. Outside the window, peony buds are about to burst into red bowls of fragrance. I hear wrens whistling in the soft rain. From the bathroom I hear water spill as my love showers in a dark bath. My heart fills with sweetness and contentment. I'm quiet, near peace, with the gray rain and the dark trees, our iridescent light. Thank you. Thank you. Let's this fire. Okay, we'll do another one. I wrote this one first as love for God, but I brought it into a human context a little bit. So this is entitled This Fire. I have to readjust it a little bit. Of the thousands of kisses you've accepted from me, of the thousands that you've given, there was one like cool water poured into my boiling cowboy coffee. My soul no longer rolls with turmoil. The frothing is quick, the tumbling ground settled, the color returned, and the dark coffee grew. Strong, clear, rich, warm, calm. I love this fire I am because it lights you up and me. And I live more easily with your cloudy scent. I've worked my nose hard, inhaled cedar bark's yellow resin drop fragrance. Your sweetness is worth the effort. When put to your stickiness, my desire melts you, and you rise into small bowls inside me, where you meant to be. We know that each of us has a different image upon which we project our love. We call for love in that way. And most of us are of Western European heritages, so things changed over time so that we have this sense of love that's a bit more mature, I would say, than some 1,500 years ago or something like that. So I want to give a quick summary about how this happened. About 1,000 years ago, in 1021 AD, a young blue-eyed Spanish Arab in Andalusia received a letter from a friend who asked him to compose a treatise on love. Ali ibn Hazam al-Andalusi was 27 years old. He was grieving the destruction of his home through war, an earlier death of his love, a young woman, Nuum. He was grieving the death of his father and his mother. And as most of us know, grief often allows us access to deep and great love. So, responding to that request, Ibn Hazm wrote The Dove's Neck Ring, probably the first Islamic treatise on love and its various emotional modes. In his grief, he plumbed the mysteries of love's variations. This prose treatise included almost 200 poems, many of them written while he was still a teenager. However, as he grew older, Hazam became misanthropic. He spoke of hatred for other men, especially Persians and Jews and Christians. He had watched war and devastation overtake his homeland, war between Islamic sects, wars with Christians who were attempting to retake the peninsula. He felt little love in his personal life. And if I read this correctly, his heart and his love contracted so that he could only see the narrow contexts of language of his strict religious sect and a rationalist's certainty. He wrote, "Language is only for communication. It should be clear. It should not be built on undertone and not be a mystery." That certainty, that desire for certainty often leads to hatred and a contracted heart. When he wrote his love poems, his heart and his mind were filled with possibility, filled with imagination and mystery. That's poetry. Possibility, imagination, mystery. Remember this word, possibility. It's going to come up later in this, and I want you to specifically remember this. So I want to give you an example of his poetry as a young man. And you can see how love is both physical and spiritual for this young man. It's called, "Are You from the World of Angels?" Are you from the world of angels, or are you a human? I can't tell. Through weary eyes I'm stunned. I see a human form, but as I look more deeply, your body seems from another world. Blessed be the God who puts balance and grace into creation. You are a beautiful natural light. I don't doubt that you are a spirit, drawn to us by the earthly mingling of our like-minded souls. We don't have proof, so to speak, that you are flesh and blood, except you are visible. And if we don't see a real person, we have to say, you are true, sublime reason. That's how we feel about our beloved. Are they human? Are they more than human? Are they not human? This is a poem by a true lover. Hazam was a young man. His commentary and his treatise inspired the first European troubadours who were in southern France. The first one, Guillaume of Poitiers, is considered to be the first troubadour, and he began his most profound poetic work in the style of Hazam and other Moors after he returned from the First Crusade. Those words are powerful today when we know the geopolitical situation. When Guillaume was fed up with the Christian crusade mentality, he went in the opposite direction of Hazam. Guillaume continued to write poetry until his death. And as far as we know, Hazam did not write any poetry after he finished his book at 27 years old. A troubadour expresses his love through his poetry for a noble woman, for someone who is usually his social better, someone he could not have, someone on whom he could have a crush, and he could flatter, he could court. In a time of arranged marriages, this lent excitement both to the poet and to the woman he was flattering. This kind of love, because it could not be fulfilled physically, then could be used as a spiritual practice. We know that when we bring up an image in our imagination and we focus our love on that image, we are feeling our true love. And what is that love? It's a connection with God. This love, this was called fin amour. That's the term that the troubadours used, fin amour. And they referred to it as refined love. The troubadour wrote so that this love would be both spiritual in the soul and adulterous in the imagination. It was extremely dangerous to proceed to a physical relationship, but the excitement in that combination just made the heart feel bigger and bigger and bigger. In Islamic Sufi thought, of which Ibn Hazm probably was aware, there is a state that they call ordinary love. Ordinary love is the perception of impalpable beauty and grace. Sufis say that ordinary love beautifies existence. Now, is that enough? For most of us, I think it is. Ordinary love beautifies existence. Then there is special love, which occurs when ordinary love, the feeling of ordinary love, changes us so that we begin to view the beauty of essences, not the beauty of forms. Special love, they say, special love refines existence. We've grown. We've expanded. And I want to give you a feeling of, a sense of that. We're going to perform this poem is called The Special Love by a poet, Ibn al-Arabi, who lived about 150 years after Ibn Hazm. And this is, Dalyce composed the music for this to go with the music, or with the poem, which I helped translate from an English, a poorly written English version, I would say. Okay. As a full moon appears from the night, so her face appears among the tresses. From sorrow comes the sense of her, eyes shedding tears on her cheek. Like a black narcissus weeping onto a rose. Mere beautiful women are silenced. So overwhelming is her fairness. Even to think of her harms her subtlety. Thought is too coarse for knowing her. For her fleeting wonder eludes thinking. If this is so, how can a clumsy organ as the eye correctly see her? She's beyond the rainbow of seeing. Cease these attempts. Such trying is futile. Yet if someone seeking her lowers his aspirations to seek ordinary love, there are always others who continue through the night, across the sea, with eyes longing for her.
First time we've ever performed that. Song by Dalyce, Elliott, translation by Peinovich.
Yeah, thank you. That poem, I wanted it accompanied by music because Ibn Arabi's poetry, and Ibn Arabi is probably one of the greatest spiritual masters that has ever walked on the earth. We know very little of him in our tradition. But scholars call his poetry Sophianic poetry, the expression of spiritual experience of love with the divine feminine. Everything that he writes about in his poetry as an older man. He wrote these poems when he was in his late 40s, early 50s. So he was an older man. He wasn't just a young child or a young man. So we know that there was a profundity in his love. And Ibn Arabi understood the role of the divine feminine, which you get a sense of as he tries to describe through that poem what is the divine feminine. It's beyond thinking. But he understood the power of a spiritual femininity. As a teenager, he had a spiritual teacher who was over 90 years old, and her name was Fatima of Cordova. And she taught him, she said, "I am your spiritual mother and the light of your earthly mother." This is an Islamic woman, an Islamic teacher. You don't hear much about that these days. They have a deep, rich history. So, as Ibn Hazm moved into misanthropy and fundamentalism, Ibn Arabi wrote of the expanding heart, and he understood that poetry was an appropriate instrument for the transmission of essential truths. He was able to love the divine both as a feminine mother and as a feminine father, or a masculine father. He didn't have trouble with that division. The special love of El-Arabi, the fin amour of the troubadours, Dante's love for Beatrice, Petrarch's love for Laura, even Shakespeare's love expressed in his sonnets could be known as love for God's feminine divinity, which has been called Sophia, the complex divine feminine essence. The psychologist Robert Sardello tells us that Sophia has a threefold nature. First, there's Sophia as the creation of the elements which condense into earth. And there's the second one, the heavenly Sophia, or the wisdom of the world. In the Book of Wisdom, you'll see references to that. And then there's the third, the Sophia who remains in the realm of chaos and the underworld that's not hell. In mythic language, we know these three as the virgin and the mother and the crone. and the divinity that moves through those mythic images. I'd like to give you an example of a poem that I wrote, Evening So Beautiful, which is an example of my love for Sophia as the creation condensed into the elements of the earth. I'm sure you'll feel this feminine, my love for the feminine divinity there. So we're going to do that piece, An Evening So Beautiful. An evening so beautiful, even the moon has envy. She throws off her gown and so begins our love affair in the garden, where the rainbow faded at sunset, new stars emerge, the way lavender sprouts from the soil. Cottonwoods whisper, fireflies, those love darts from the stars, dance over the hidden meadow. Their codes twinkle and catch our eyes, then our hearts spin slowly in the shadow of a blooming catalpa. White petals drop like warm pearls from the lips of our private goddess. A wide-eyed doe, slender to her flank, flicks her tail and flutters her lashes and bounds away with the grace of a swaying lily. Sometimes it's kind of hard to express that love that we feel when we're in the midst of nature, in the midst of the earth. And, our love for our mothers, it goes back so far that as little children, how could we express those enormous feelings that we were feeling? When we're feeling safe and comfortable, words just don't come. I've struggled my whole life. That's why I'm a poet. I try and get clear. No matter how clear we try and get, there's still that huge mystery. And sometimes music fills that space so that the feeling sinks in. So I just want to finish up here a little bit. When we talk about the language of love, we most often use words such as longing, desire, hope, anxiety, anticipation, need, and even despair. All of these have a strong reference to the future. The soul, our souls, have an intense interest in the future. The Austrian thinker Rudolf Steiner said that there is a second current of time that comes to us from the future, and it flows into the present and toward the past. Robert Sardello, the psychologist, says that current is Sophia. Think about this. When people are in love, they are in the current from the future. The past is forgotten. Remember what it's like to be in love at first. Man, who cares what happened? The past, it doesn't exist in that current of time. We forget the inbuilt limitations stemming from the past. Everything is possible. This is the gift of love. Possibility. Possibilities come to us from the future as gifts from God the Mother. We feel her presence as longing, as the safety of the moment, as a loved being. The effort to live in the moment is to live where the current from the past and the current from the future intersect at the human heart. A heart that is in love with life, a heart that is throbbing and pulsing, seeking God through the divine feminine principle of possibilities, wholeness, and love. Of course, none of this contradicts or excludes the traditional beliefs in a God the Father. Ibn Hazm ran away from the sense of God in the feminine. Ibn Arabi, who wrote The Special Love, ran toward it. I want to finish with a poem of my own, which tries to describe how I sometimes get a glimpse of that divine feminine principle, that divine mother, as difficult as it is in this world. And this is called The Glass Brick. Sometimes we get a glimpse in a dream. Sometimes, something cracks us open in the midst of the woods. We never know when it's going to happen. But we get a glimpse. And this is that poem. For me, it may be different for you. We're all entitled to have our own psyche cracked open and find our mother and our father in our own way. I was dreaming. I was so happy. I knew your love would hold me forever. Now I can't remember you. My mind is a glass brick. Light and shades enter, but not your face. My heart knows you, but it's pierced by my forgetfulness. And I can't stop aching for you. I know I ran through some things quickly here today, and I'll be glad to talk with anyone after we finish. But just to recap a little bit, the sense that we have in the world today about a growing sense of love for the earth, for the feminine, to balance out the sense that we've had for the Father. It began a long time ago. We know that the tribal peoples had this balance. But in our tradition, it goes back to Moorish Spain. It goes back to Ibn Azam and Ibn Arabi and the troubadours who came back from those wars wanted to feel the love. So they found the sense and explanation of love, both as a physical and spiritual existence, through the work of Ibn Hazm. Those troubadours spread a whole new consciousness through Western Europe, the sense of chivalry, honor, beauty, love, personal love. Before the troubadours, most European poetry was about war, was about conquest. It was about the group story. There was very little love poetry in Europe. It changed. And if you go back to that first poem I read about, "Are you an angel from heaven?" Doesn't that sound like 1950s rock and roll? Yeah. It's embedded in us now. It really is inside of us in a deep way. So we're on a point of changing this whole perspective about love and God and divinity. I really feel that. And I'm not pessimistic at all. So I want to thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you.